Hello. Today we're talking about change your world, and we want to continue to be talking about where our conversations have come from and where we're hoping it to go.
Yes.
So how we see things determines on how we say things, and that's going to influence how our lives turn out, how we think about our lives too.
Right.
So Brad, what are you thinking about today as we talk about changing our world?
Well, I want to talk about, we're actually going to be setting up a transformation table here. I'm just kind of give that secret away, but transformational conversations. Let's talk about what that means. I think we all know it makes sense that without communication, positive change doesn't happen, right? If people don't know what's going on, you can't affect change. So communication is important. But what's sad is that positive conversations are starting to become a lost art. And I'll give you a good example here. We're all on social media. I'm on it pretty heavy. I think Ruth is too. But people become fixated on problems instead of solutions. And I say this all the time. I believe it. I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. But instead, most people talk instead of listen. They rant on social media, right? Instead of sitting at the table together. We go on to that. We're not. But they focus on what divides us, and this could play right into today's situation here in the US, instead of what could bring us together. Well, we want to be the part of the solution, not part of the problem. But so we can change that, okay? And conversations start with reality. We can't ignore reality, Ruth.
Right.
And I just say you got to be real. And I think of a favorite quote of mine that was really pivotal for me here over a decade ago was from Jack Welch, and he said, "Face reality as it is, not as you wish it was or you wish it to be."
That's
right.
true.
So we got to face reality as it is. So Ruth.
Yeah, because I totally believe, Brad, when you're talking about what is in front of us, our attitude really makes a huge difference. Our attitude, where we are at, and what we choose to think about, because what we believe in is where our possibilities are going to lie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so in order for us to see our world change, which, I mean, Brad and I are talking about our own personal worlds, the people that are around us, the communities that are around us. And what we hope is that when our world changes, that then like our country will change, and our and the circumstances will change. But it's got to start with a conversation. It has to be Brad and I having a conversation, and us having a conversation with you. And it has to begin by confronting reality, not going down the tube and being all negative about it, like what Brad's talking about. But, we don't solve any problems by avoiding them or by pretending that they don't exist. But the fact is that all of us have problems, and that there are some answers to these problems, but sometimes the answer isn't really obvious. And what it really comes down to is that we have to be part of the solution and not just avoiding them or running away from them.
Yeah, I think there's a tendency out there. I know sometimes we don't want to talk about uncomfortable issues, but nothing gets really done until you have those conversations, right? You have to start talking about it. What's the problem? We got to be able to determine what it is, explain it, and have a conversation to get. I think it's really important to get input from other people on solving problems. And again, you have to have a conversation to do that. It doesn't happen by osmosis. And again, one of the frustrating things for me, and you've seen it too, is on social media, people are just ranting. I get it, but you know what? They're not solving any problem. I may empathize with you a lot of times, but just ranting doesn't, or displaying your displeasure, whatever, doesn't do anything.
Right. And I think, Brad, one of the things that I've noticed with people is that they just go straight for the negative. And I think what we're talking about here is that we're trying to see how we can make a difference with kind of what's going on in the world around us, and having a positive conversation, because it stimulates people to find a better answer. We're going to get solutions, and through our conversations going to generate some ideas, and we're going to be able to put our creative energy together to see something positive happen. And honestly, Brad, I was having a conversation with somebody last week, and I sat there, and I mean, we talked about I could have just gotten a pen out and talked about 6 issues that were going on in our country and in our communities. And I was like, by the end of the conversation, I was done with the conversation. I mean, I'm like, I don't really care to be a part of that. But what happens when we change our world is that we begin to just talk about what are some ideas like in our community where we can make a difference, even in just the smallest ways?
Yeah, I think it's, goes back to, we've heard this proverb, two heads are better than one, but, to get input from other people, because we don't always see the whole situation. We don't always see, we see one part of it. And so when we get input from other people, and in this case, maybe with our transformation table, having people from around the world, different cultures join us so that we get perspective from others. And I think that's really, really important.
Right. And of course, we would love for any of you guys to join our table, because we want to talk to everybody. We want everybody to be a part of our community. And like Brad said, we don't care what country you live in. Because I think what happens when we begin to talk about this, Brad, is that it begins to create hope in us, right? And we begin to see that, oh my word, there actually could be an answer to this, even though we're all sitting here, upset about what's going on and starting to list all the problems that are going on. And, hope is the belief that our future can be brighter. And I know that I've got 3 teenagers, and I don't want them to think, oh my word, that our country's going down the tubes. I don't want them to feel that way, because history repeats itself. It's been here before, and we need to find the solution to get to the next place, the better place.
Absolutely. So let's keep talking. And to wrap this up, I think perhaps the greatest value of transformational conversations is this, that they move us to make better decisions that better ourselves and others, right? It's not just focused on us. We got the map of the world globe behind us. And transformational conversations inspire what's next, and they make us intentional.
Right. So thank you for listening to us as we're talking about how to change our world where we are at today, with our community, with the people around us. And we'd love to have you guys join us.
Absolutely. Guys, thanks so much for joining us today. Have an awesome week. Okay. Bye-bye.